Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. What's going on out there on Instagram? Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. We're going to have a good show tonight. We have author Juna coming in. Juna Shellum is coming in tonight. And it's going to be a surprise. We all going to learn together. And yeah, we're going to have some fun here. Reading Between the Wines is Wine Down Wednesday, Wine Wednesday. So go ahead and get your glasses. Go ahead and get your bottles. Please go ahead and tag your friends and let them know what we got going on inside Reading Between the Wines tonight. What's going on, Trey? What's going on? How you doing out there? So we are sampling High Note tonight. I told y'all that we are going to leave things on a high note. So when it comes to all of that negativity, all of that nonsense, all the haters in your life, the things that go on in your world that obviously at the end of the day we can't control. One thing that we can control is ourselves, and we can leave our attitudes and we can leave everything on a positive high note and let everybody else have all of that. You can have all of that. At the end of the day, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to live it on a high note, and I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure that I take care of me. High Note Red Blend, released in 2019. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. Intense sunlight, cool temperatures, and dry conditions high in the Andes foothills combine perfectly to create this rich, satisfying blend. Deep ruby red in color with intense dark fruit and aromas and flavors of crushed berries and spices. This is 13.5% alcohol content. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but it is what it is when we get done with this. And this is a product of Argentina. High Note Red Blend. They got a bunch of different ones too. You can get, Cabernet or Merlot. They had a whole bunch, but I just decided to get the red blend, which basically comes with about 4 different grapes. You got Malbec, you got Cabernet, you have Syrah, and a couple other different ones in there. So yeah, we're gonna leave it on a high note, and I will tell you that it is dark. It does have some dark ruby red, colors to it. Bit of a spice, you know. They were right on point. I want to give a very special shout out to the people out there on Facebook. I want to say thank you so much. Twitter family, YouTube. I encourage everyone to go ahead and check out the experience on YouTube at Laren Gaines, and let me know what you think about the look and the vibe of the show. D Live family, Twitch, and you can also get small clips on Daily Motion as well. So please go ahead and check me out on Daily Motion. Again, everything is at Laren Gaines. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the song of the day. Faith, 1987. I remember when I was young, right? And this song came out, and I was like, who is this person? It was when George Michael was first releasing the album Faith. I was about 7 years old, when the song came out, and I just automatically, gravitated towards the sound, gravitated towards the music video and everything. So, song speaks for itself. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose them. But at the end of the day, if you have faith in a situation and you know that you are being the best person that you possibly can be, and you are protecting your heart and you're doing the right thing, trust and believe great things are going to come around the corner. And remember, we talked about this the other night. Everything don't work out the way we want it to work out. Sometimes, you just got to sit back and you got to relax and chill. And once you do that, and you learn how to simmer down a little bit and hush up a little bit and open up your ears, bigger and better things are going to come. Ask me how I know, because I'm a living example. I'm living proof of just every single thing that's been going on in my world. So if only you knew. Like I said, half the time y'all don't even know the half, but we're going to give you a little bit of it. You'll get a chance to see some of it, and I'm going to open up and share, of course, through the books and the podcasting here and everything else. So one thing at the end of the day, we just going to keep rocking on and rocking on. Hate it or love it, it is what it is. 4-in-1 podcast. This is Destin. The conversations that I have with people all over the world. All of this is destined. Try to get in the way of it if you want to, and listen, somebody else is handling this and rocking and moving, maneuvering things, and I'm just here along for the ride doing what I know how to do best. And with that, I have to say thank you so much to the people who support and come through and hang out with me here night after night. I couldn't do it without the support from my special guests that come out here. Last night was the first time we had someone from Korea on the 411 podcast, which was absolutely amazing. Great experience. So shout out to Rowang. Go ahead and check the replay out, and you get to understand what type of conversations and fun we had last night. And I can't wait for part two. We're going to take it to California. I want to say what's up to Jason T. Davis. We're going to go to Puerto Rico, Mr. Alex Coquito, New York, Onyx Blade, Sathia Calendar from the ATL, Shanti Refuge, Enrich Mom, Shantae, what's up? What's going on? Danny from My Survivor Voice. I want to say thank you for supporting me as much as you do. BB's Authentic Essentials, Posh and Pretty Brow Bar, all the way from Texas, and Dr. Stephen Bond. Thank you for coming through last night. I appreciate you as well. Just goes to show just a small bit of the support that 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wine gets just all over. And I have to say thank you so much. Now, on that, we're going to go ahead and sip up a little bit, and we're going to rewind, basically, and take you down memory lane from last night. Now, ain't this so interesting? Have you ever been chilling with somebody? Have you ever been just in a situation and someone comes across and says, man, you remind me of something, or that reminds me of something that my ex would do, or you this or you that, and my ex used to do this and I feel a certain way from it, or it could be in a positive way. But how do you handle someone when they compare you to their ex? Some people do it in a negative way, some people do it in a positive way. I can tell you back in the day, there was no way you was going to tell me anything. Don't even speak anything about an ex. I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't want to see it. You better have ripped up all the pictures and tore everything up because I want nothing to do with it. That's the type of mindset I was into, back in the day. But I will tell you today, though, that growth, prayer, faith, and just staying and sticking to the plan and asking to find out who you are. Once you find out who you are, some of that jealousy, some of that rage, some of that anger, all of that stuff goes right out the window. So if someone ever compared me to their ex today, I would ask them a simple question like this: do you miss them? Do you need to go back? Would you like to go back? Because at the end of the day, there's only it's only one me, so it is what it is. You want me? You're gonna have to understand that all of that comparison and all of that type of stuff, we ain't really doing that. Not that I'm upset. Listen, if you want to open up the door and you want to go, trust and believe you can do what you need to do, because I'm good over here. So I think I would handle it a little bit more. I'd just be a little bit different about it. I wouldn't be upset and I can't believe you are talking about your ex and do you miss them and do you want to go with them and why this and why that, and I'll be real cool with it today. Like, that's cool. Like, you sure you don't want to go back? Because yeah, I mean, the door is open anytime you feel like it. Trust and believe that once I learned that we don't control people, places, and things, man, it's all good. All good. But for you out there, how would you handle if someone compared you to their ex? Hmm. People gonna be out here having a problem. Half full or half empty. After you get past all of that, what's going on, Stephen Bond? How are you? You got to get to some realization of, all right, I'm done with that. Let's move on to bigger and better things. So let's talk about you. Half full or half empty. How are you living your life on a day to day? Some people wake up and they're like, wow, this day is going to be a beautiful day and I'm going to make it work. And no matter what comes my direction, I'm going to just be dodging and I'm going to be doing what I got to do, sticking and moving and making it work. That's how some people wake up. Other people wake up like, ugh, I got to do this again. Really? Did I sign up for this job? Did I sign up for this experience? Why me? What's going on? I know that this person is going to ask me to borrow some money. I know that this is going to be a situation that she's going to give me an attitude every time she sees me walking down the hall because she don't like me. This is going to happen. I know that they're going to do something to me. I know that this is going to be a rough day. I could automatically feel it. Half full or half empty. How are you living your life on a day-to-day basis? I'm going to just leave it like that. For those of you that know me, you already know how I'm feeling. You know how I'm vibing. You know how I'm waking up. You know how I'm moving. You know how I got to make sure that I get prepared before I get out there in the streets, because guess what? Those people who are half empty, you're going to have to come in contact with them anyways. No matter way you can shake it, you can't move it, you can't fake it. It's life. We are going to have to come in contact with people that are not 100%. That's why we have to build ourselves much up to 100% as much as we possibly can. Will we ever really be 100%? I'd probably say absolutely not. But are you coming out of your house at 80? Are you coming out there trying to rock and roll at 90%? Maybe some days you feeling a real boost and you at 95%. Maybe that's how you doing it. Or are you going out your house at 50%? Because you didn't put in the time, you didn't put in the energy, you didn't put in the work, you didn't put in the focus, you didn't sit some time to yourself and think before you jump into some situation. So now you at 50%. And every little thing that knocks you down, you get knocked down all throughout the day. And you're trying to build yourself up, but you already so low that by the time you get to a certain point, there's some survival skills and some survival instincts that have to kick in. And it's like, yo, we down here at 40% now, 30% now. At the end of the day, it's going to be me or you. Now, what's what? What we going to do? So now you start to get that animalistic instinct in you, and now you going toe to toe with people, and you didn't really have to. All you had to do is put in the work before you even stepped out there and then coming into encounter with these people. They're already there. They're going to be there. They ain't going nowhere. We already understand that. We already know that. If I knew these things today, back in the day, man, where would I be? But without that, maybe I wouldn't even be here speaking and giving this message to somebody that probably needs it. I ain't trying to go too deep. I'm not trying to go too deep tonight. We are sipping on high notes. But like I said, the bottle speaks for itself. The experience this week, last week, speaks for itself, man. I go through all kinds of drama. I go through all types of stuff. You wouldn't even understand how many people say, Laren, you really want to continue to do the 411 podcast and reading between the lines? You sure you don't want to go over here and do this? You know how many people don't want me to come out here and do this, and they're just hoping that I just stop? I'm not even going to get into that either. That's a whole nother situation. But anyway. All right. So we got Juna Shellum coming in here tonight. We're going to leave this thing on a high note, like I said. And we're going to leave that there. Reach out to my special guest tonight, Miss Juna, and see what's going on in her neck of the woods. Hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you? I didn't even really hear the phone ring. How you doing?
I just sensed it was going to ring. I'm good, Laren. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sipping on a red blend tonight, high note. I'm trying to live my life.
Oh, nice.
Trying to live my life on a high note these days because it's so easy to, go back and revert into the person that I used to be. Put it that way.
We don't want that.
No, we don't. We always have two sides. So,
just keep going higher and forward.
I'm sure you got a side to you too, but you probably don't want to share it with us tonight, and that's fine.
Well, there are a lot of us knocking around up here.
That is so true.
Crazy.
That is so
That's
true.
For another day.
I want to say what's up to Mr. Ike. Thank you all the way from Ohio out there. His comment is keep grinding and doing what you love. As long as you make the impact you were going for, what they say doesn't matter. That is so true. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I have to stop myself sometimes and say, Laren, what are you doing? You know better than this. We've been through so much, and why are we still thinking but overthinking? But that becomes the whole thing of trying to become the master of your own mind. Just when you think that you
Right.
got it, life or either yourself in general comes in and tries to trick you to making you think that
Oh
it's
yeah.
not what it is. And it's like, it's always a fight. That's why I say, on the journey, towards a healthier mindset. Because will we ever really be there 100%? Absolutely not. That's my thought. Now, I don't know
Mm-mm.
what you feel out there or
No.
anybody out there, but
Well, I always try. I'm not always successful, but I always try to stay in this moment because when I go back, it's treachery. When I go forward, it's just filled with doubt and just
mm,
all kinds of stuff. So if I'm in this moment
yeah,
right now,
yeah,
life is good.
that
Life
is
is
so
good.
true. And I'm so glad that I have people in my life that, teach me these things and speak to me, speak positivity because I would go back. Like I have no problem playing the old records and listening to them for a little bit, but I would get so pissed off that I just move past living in a moment. So I'm so pissed off that I'm already thinking about things in the future, and then my mind is just racing, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that, and this is gonna happen, and then when it didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out, because we know if we want to make God laugh, come up with a plan, right? Then I'm
Mhm.
sitting somewhere,
Mhm.
really, really jacked up. But so you,
Well, it's like drinking wine. If you just chug it, you miss the whole deal. But if you just savor each little sip, it's just heaven, right?
Now I'm gonna go ahead and try to, but depending on the
Okay, go ahead.
conversation, we don't know if that's gonna work tonight. I will tell you that this is a very high alcohol volume, so I can't be responsible for what happens here. I'm gonna blame it all on you tonight.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm not afraid.
Mr. Will, thank you so much. Our experiences during the journey are part of the journey. We can get through anything in the right mindset. Thank you all
Mhm.
so much for all of your wonderful words of encouragement. I try not to be so deep, but I'm just a deep soul. And I've just learned that you just gonna have to just let it flow and don't try to hide or cover up anything. So hopefully your books line up with what we're doing here tonight. But if not, we're gonna change that real quick. So where are you?
Oh yeah, they do.
Perfect. See, I knew that this is destined. So where are you calling from
Mhm.
tonight?
I'm in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, way up in the north.
Okay,
Call it the Panhandle. Okay,
I think you're about the
so
second
not
person from Idaho.
no kidding.
Yeah, second person
Well,
I've
it's a
interviewed.
beautiful place.
So
Don't come here, but it's beautiful.
you said,
We have everybody. Now that I got here, nobody else comes.
well, I don't want mine going there, but I need to know what is the weather like because that will make or break it for me.
Okay, so we're in the middle of May,
Hmm.
close to the middle of May, and we just finally got to 60 degrees. It's been raining and cold for about 5 days. We
Eh,
get real. We generally summer doesn't start until July 4th.
oh,
Just
absolutely
saying.
not, absolutely not. Sorry, I'll see it
Yeah,
from a
I know.
distance. That's craziness. It's
It is, and after about 7 months of winter, you're just over it. And then we live summer like we're going out of our minds because it ends
yeah,
sometime at the end of August, early September.
that
So,
is miserable.
yeah.
That's absolutely miserable. Only a month.
I know, it's crazy, right? But I do love it. The people here, I've never met nicer people in my whole life. Helpful strangers have helped me in so many ways, so often. I can't believe it. So I like it. They're like me. So
That's
I
good.
came to the right place.
That's good. Now you said you came to the right place. Where are you originally from?
I was born in downtown Los Angeles and was
Ooh.
raised there up until about a 10, and then we moved to in the miserable valley.
Hmm.
And it's just hot, icky, gross. I hated it. And then I went into the military and lived in Texas, and England,
Hmm.
and then I came back. I lived in Southern California. I lived in Northern California. I lived in back east. I lived in the desert. I lived at the beach. I've been all over, my friend.
I love the desert. My motto is burn me to F up. So, like, the hotter that it is, the better, and the happier that I am.
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh,
yep, burn me the F up. Like going to Palm Springs in July, August when it's 120 plus degrees. Yeah, yep, sign me up for that.
no. No, I went there. I had a wild hair. I just did something crazy, and I said, okay. I sold my place. I bought a place out there, and then I went, what just happened? What was I doing? And then I got trapped there for 14 years. So I don't miss it. I do
If
not miss
only
the
one could
heat.
get trapped in a hot desert climate. If only one can get trapped in a hot desert climate. Well, I'm coming.
Well, you know,
I'm
go
calling
ahead.
from New Jersey, so it's like, we get the brutal winters, and you suffer, and you
Hmm.
think that spring is here, but then it tricks you, and winter comes back again, and
Oh
it's
gosh, that sounds like Idaho.
it's 70 degrees today, so it hit
Oh well,
it hit
that's
the high of
summer.
72, so that was pretty good today.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I spent time in Pennsylvania. I was lived there for 5 years, going to university and hanging out, and
Okay,
left.
so you know what that's like. You know what some of these winters are like. Hey, what's going on?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's get right on into it. Reading between the wine. So you have several books. I believe you have 5 books.
I have 5 books published. Well, I have 9 total, but 4 of them are out of print and they're more business oriented. So I have 5 fiction novels,
Okay.
and 4 of them are in a series. And the latest one, my 5th book, is the beginning of a new series. So yeah, and I'm working on book 5 of the first series.
So
Right,
I,
right, right.
so I want you to take us through a quick little journey, and then I want to dig right into the current book you're on. So, what's the title of your first book?
Well, it's part of the M Suite, and it's called The Incredible Transformations of Alice Hollywood. It's a mouthful, but it's a good title for what the book is about. It's set in '76 in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
on a military base, and it's about 2 women, Alice Hollywell and M. Martine. They call her M because her full name is Mary McKenna Martine, MMM. So they just call her M.
Mm-hmm.
And the series is named after her because all of the people in the series, she's like the center of the universe there. You know, these are all the people in her world. So that's why I called it that. But anyway, so it deals with, it's a historical novel in that it deals with the military and the homophobia and all that kind of stuff. This is
Mm-hmm.
before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, when it was more like, if we find out who you are, we're going to kick you out or you're going to go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that. And I remember, when I joined in the mid 70s, the recruiter took a picture of me to send to headquarters to make sure that I, looked,
That's terrible.
womanly enough and not, too butch or too something. I
Mm-mm.
guess I don't know. Like wow. So this book is about these 2 women kind of negotiating this environment. And my books start as kind of a slow burn. Some people don't like that. They want to get right into the story. And I'm like, no, I want you to just kind of settle in and then we just unleash the power of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then it really starts to pick up really quickly. The second book, McKenna on the Edge, happens 17 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about well, McKenna, that's her professional name. She's a writer, and she's deeply, deeply depressed. Her parents have died, leaving her millions of dollars. Okay, that's sad. And then she's dealing with stuff from her past, and she just cannot cope with it. She's just going down, 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 and says, "Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing and kind of chronicle my life and see what's going on because I can't get my thoughts straight." So that's part of the book, and then there's another story that cuts in and out of that, where Eve, who is the sister of Alice Hollywood, or Alice Hollywell is her actual name. She kind of comes into the picture after the Northridge earthquake.
Mm.
So it tells their story of kind of finding each other, and of course the backstory of McKenna is quite interesting. But the reason I wrote this book is, money can't buy you happiness, but everybody thinks it can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so here's this person who she grew up insanely rich, and she just said, I don't want that. She ran off and joined the military. And then everything she didn't want, she ended up with anyway. And so she had all the money in the world, and was incredibly unhappy. And so I wanted to kind of touch on that.
Now, I don't mean to go too deep, but do you think the reason why she ended up with, I'm just thinking about my life. Do you think the reason why she ended up with all of that stuff is because she thought so hard of what she didn't want, that that's all she focused on, and what she thought of, and it pretty much manifested into her life?
Yeah, I think life has a way of saying, deal with it. You can't just not deal with it. You have to deal with it. And so everything she wanted, she wanted the love of her parents. She didn't want their money. She just wanted them. Well, she didn't get them, and she got all the money instead. And so she had to learn to deal with that and other things, But it's like that thing where, I address this a lot in my books and in life in general, and that is, we never ever know what's going on behind someone's closed doors.
Ooh.
And so we can always look at somebody and go, God, they have the best life. They're so lucky. They have this, they have that. Look at them. They're blah, 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 blah. And then we find out that maybe that's not true. And I learned that lesson years ago. I was a massage therapist for high-end clients. We're talking filthy rich. And people have a tendency to want to talk while they're getting worked on. And some therapists are like, oh, no, this is your time to relax. Don't talk. Well, I felt like that's how people release, right? Just go ahead and talk. I'm just going to do my work. The things I learned about these people's perfect lives.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd seen my face while I was working on it, my jaw was hanging open, and I was just shocked at what they were telling me about their private lives, and thought, oh my gosh, I'm the lucky one. I am way, way luckier than they are. They may have all the money in the world and perfect family and blah, blah, blah. That perfect family is messed up. So I address that a lot in my books about, you see people on the surface, and then here's their real story.
Absolutely. A big fan of just keeping it real. I've done all of that before. I wanted the house, the cars, the dogs, all of that stuff, the picket fence, all of that. And there was a price to pay for all of that, especially if everybody doesn't want the same thing that you want either, or they don't want it at the same level that you want. Because, once you get all of those things, you got to put work in to maintain it.
Right.
You get a friendship, you get a relationship, you get a job. Everyone's smiling, everyone's cute in the beginning. But after a while, the dust settles and you start to see people for who they really are. And you got to work on it on the days when I'm not working on it. And I got to work on it on the days that you aren't. And we both got to be working on it together to make this thing work. So I get it. And when you don't, that's when all of
to make that work.
That's when all of the ugly comes out, and now you don't like this, you don't like that, all of those things you thought you did in the beginning. So I get it.
Being in balance with another person, even, whether it's someone that you're in a relationship with, that's not related to you, or even if you're family, it's such a delicate balance of trying to, make them happy, them make you happy, everybody, respecting everything. So it's just a lot of work. Being human is a lot of work.
But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you take care of yourself first so that you can take care of everybody else. And remember,
Right.
you asked for it. So if you ask for it, you need to make sure you do the right thing by it because it can get taken away from you at the drop of a dime.
Just like that.
Yeah, just like
Just
that.
like that. Yeah.
Author
Just like that.
Liz, how are you doing? Thank you so much for coming in. And you says, and when the work starts, meaning less time with your partner, hopefully I got this right, this wine, excuse me, with those who are more important than things. I'm going to read that again. And work then starts, meaning less time with your partner, with those who are more important than things. And Temple, I'm going to just break these real short because these handle names I can't get. Temple, priorities are everything. Absolutely. I truly do agree with that. Get your priorities straight, especially when it involves other people.
Yeah, and as somebody who's pretty much a loner, choosing my work over relationships, really.
Oh, I had that question
Um,
the other night. I had asked the question of, is it wise to choose a relationship over your hobby or your career?
mm. Well, I'll just say that I probably would have gotten a lot more books written, a lot more music written, and a lot more
Mm.
everything done if I hadn't dived into relationships in the past. And looking back, I think, what did I gain from that?
Are you
All
sure?
those years lost.
Are you sure you ain't writing these books about me? This is not right.
Well, you know what? I do write about the human condition. So I'm a great observer of people and life and whatnot. And I like I said, I've lived a life. So I tend to write books that even though, you know, I have a lot of women in my books, but men seem to like them anyway, and not for the creepy reasons, but because they get involved in the relationships or whatever that people are having in them, and so
I'll,
it's just universal.
I'll tell you something about men and all of the ones who are not together yet. They probably will not like what I have to say, but men hurt just like everybody else do. And it's the ones who have that border up. It's those ones that don't show emotions because their dad didn't show emotions and their grandfather didn't show emotions, and the whole thing goes back, back, back. They are lost and they will never will be 100% until they can break down to the core and break it down and start building back up. So I've always
Mm-hmm.
been, I'm not going to say what I am on here, but emotional. I attach a curse word to it towards the end in a joking way. But I'm just that emotional type of person I've always been, and which is a good thing because it prevents me from doing some things that the typical man would do that doesn't have his life together. Put it that way. So there's
Mm-hmm.
that border, there's that fine line that stops me and like, all right, hit the brakes. You know that this is not what you need to do because you genuinely love people and you care about people and you can't take it there. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good.
all right. So, I didn't know that this show would be so deep tonight. I tried my best not to make it that way because I started off with some questions and your books
Well, I know you thought I'm just a party girl, but I'm pretty deep.
So, what's the next book? What are we on now?
Prairie Fire is book three, and this one takes place after book one,
Hmm.
but before and after book two. I've been called a time jumper because I go back and forth in time in the books.
Hmm.
And at the end of Alice Hollywood, there's a fiery crash, and she is brought in several months after that by Dot Baverstock. Now, Dot Baverstock is is like the favorite character of almost everybody who's read my books, universally since book one. She's just a favorite, and she brings in Prairie Fire because Prairie Fire is known as Wonder Woman. She can work wonders with her patients, and so M is very damaged and doesn't want to live and doesn't want to try and is just given up. And so Dot brings Prairie in, and this is the story of Prairie Fire bringing Em back to life.
Hmm.
And then the book 4 is called Dot in the Weeds. And I love this book. It's over 600 pages. I love Prairie Fire quite a
Ooh,
lot,
that's
and I thought it was my favorite. But Dot in the Weeds is by far my favorite
that's a
book.
big book, 600 pages. Jeez.
It's a big book, and I could have made it 800 pages.
Mm.
No problem. I had to put the brakes on and say, okay, this is enough. But it's Dot it takes place between the early 1930s and all the way up to 1997. It just kind of goes back and forth a little bit. And Dot has an accident. She lives in Palm Springs, and she asks Em, Eve, and Prairie to come out and help her because her son has to go do his military duty. He's in the reserves, and she needs help. But they think she just needs help with, physical caretaking, but she needs bigger help than that. She asked them to basically help her break some federal and state laws.
Ooh.
And it's just really, it's a good book. And it also, it shows you what makes Dot Dot. And it's just it's a heartbreaking book in some ways. It's funny and tender, and it's just I think it's one of my best books. And then the one I'm working on now, book 5, is called A Woman Like Eve. Eve, of course, is one of the characters in the group. And I got that title from my very first lesbian film I saw in 1980 called A Woman Like Eve. And so I thought, what a great title. I can pay homage to the movie, and also it's perfect. And I saw that in San Francisco at the Vogue Theater, which was quite fun.
Wow.
But it's about Eve. She has a deep, dark secret, and she's kept it to herself for all this time. But now she's kind of forced. She has to tell it to save her relationship. So it's her going back and telling her story, and meanwhile, something that happened in Dot in the Weeds is continued in A Woman Like Eve. So it's, the whole gang is together again. Everybody loves the gang. And I can't tell you too much about any of these books because I have mysteries in them. And I have great reveals. So if I tell you about one thing, it's going to ruin a whole bunch of other stuff.
I get it. Well, I'd have to tell you that I'm just so thankful that you came on tonight. These books and the journey that you have been on personally is just amazing. And it will help so many different people who listen to the podcast. And of course, people who already know who you are, that have purchased your books and, are fans. It just sounds amazing. It really does.
Oh, thank you. Well, I appreciate you even finding me and wanting me to come on. I'm just grateful as all,
I didn't know what, type of vibe we were going to go on because you never know because I learned about the guests, the night of the show. So it's not like we were hanging out and, speaking about things. But again, I've always asked, like, what's this going to be like? Is this supposed to happen? What are we going to get out of this? Is there going to be a message for, the listeners? And there's nothing else that I can do except put in my work and do what I have to do and have the guests show up. And when it shows up and it works so well, and I call it, mystical, supernatural. It was meant to be.
Magic.
Yeah, definitely was meant to be.
Yeah, I love that word.
So that's why I said, don't even worry. I know you were, concerned a little bit about certain things before. This is a typical phone call. We just having fun and, learning during the whole process as well.
Right. Well, on my podcast, it's not live because I have to think and cut and all this kind
And
of stuff. So I thought, oh no, what will this be like? But it's so far it's been lovely. You're lovely. I love your vibe. You've got this.
thank you
You're
so
a
much.
cool cat.
I forgot about
Yeah.
that too. So yes, tell everybody about your podcast. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I have a weekly podcast. It's called the Juna Shellum Podcast, and I talk about writing, but really, I look at writing as life. So I just call my podcast about life, and I talk about the process of writing and how I go about it. Thinking, maybe that would be helpful for somebody who wants to write. I run into a lot of wannabe writers,
Mm.
and I talk about what I'm working on and just all kinds of stuff. I'm in season 2 now. I have 51 episodes, and this season I'm talking about writing, but I'm also talking about other things like movies and music and stuff like that. And I don't do politics, or I should say, Juna Shellum does not do
Exactly.
politics.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I stay away from. Juna Shellum is definitely not. What do I want to say? Politically correct,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not belligerent or anything like that. I don't like convention.
Oh my God, that
you
is
know,
so. I'm so glad that you used that word because I've been using that lately. I said when
no, it's a good word.
when we get out of our conventional thinking, that thinking that has been programmed into us and pushed into us. So for me, I'm not thinking conventional. I'm thinking unconventional. We going to a point where it's like, all right, why are you thinking like that? Why are you doing that? Because you're doing the norm and I'm doing something that is out of the norm. Because that's going to help
Mm-hmm.
me break free and that's going to help me get past, all of the other bullshit. I don't want to stay stuck. When you start
Mm-hmm.
staying in that
Mm-hmm.
conventional thinking of what this person told you to do and what you're supposed to do and what everybody thinks you're supposed to be, I'm very unconventional these days. You never know what the hell is
Yeah,
going.
well,
You never know what's going to come out of
yeah,
my mouth.
right. Well, I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
that's my whole motto in life. Do not tell me what to do. So, that's why way back when I decided, no, I'm gonna self-publish. Or you're not gonna pound my books into
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
some little whatever cubby hole or whatever. No, I'm gonna do my thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just my whole life has been like that. It's like, no, I'm gonna do what I do. Don't tell me what to do.
You know what I've
So,
realized too is it's so funny because a lot of people will strive for exactly what you just said. I need the big, book deal. I need the big record deal. I need this big promotion. I need this. I need that. I need the big house or whatever. And you work and you work and you push and you push and you think and you think and you do and you do and you do. Instead of just like you said in the beginning of the show, live in a moment. If you live in a moment,
uh-huh,
which is one thing that, I'm learning today, how to just live in a moment for today, you have everything that you need right now. Why would you want to put your mind and put yourself and put your body into a situation of not having? If you just sit back and think about where you are at right now, you have everything that you need. Isn't that the most beautiful place that you need to be is right now living in a moment?
right,
Why would I want to take
right.
myself through the stress and through the key word is suffering? I'm making myself suffer by pushing forward, thinking too much ahead of what I don't have and what I want and what I need or what I think I need.
Uh-huh,
Because, that's another
right.
thing of what we think we need. Or either you're going too far back and you're reminiscing on the mistakes that you made, which is causing more
Oh,
suffering of thinking of what you could have done differently. Ugh.
woulda, coulda, done. Yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Hmm.
Leave it alone. Move
Exactly.
forward.
Live right in the
You did it.
moment. I just tell myself, you know what?
Move forward.
Stop. You know what I'm starting to find with myself is, you know what? I'm putting it in your. My grandmother always would say, just put it in God's powerful hands. I'm like, God, listen, I put it all in your powerful hands right now. I'm just going on. Please surprise me tomorrow. Just surprise me tomorrow. I don't know what's gonna happen. I ain't getting into it. You know I want this. You know I want that. But whatever, whatever you got going on, that's what it's gonna be. And then I'll be so surprised
Yeah,
sometimes, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what we were supposed to do. Because I take my mind off of trying to make it work. And listen,
yeah.
everybody, you be so
Well,
surprised if you just do that. Live in a moment.
I try to manifest what I want, think positively, and all of that, because the universe is listening.
Hmm.
And if you say, I'll never get blah, 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 the universe says, okay.
Exactly.
I'm not going to work. If you don't want to work on it, why am I going to work on it?
Right.
That's how I look at it. So I just try to manifest positivity and what it is that I want out of life, and just go from there. Whenever I try to bend something to my will, I always get something that I didn't want,
Yeah.
and then realize when I look back on it, I go, but that's what I
Yep.
I
Hmm.
made. I made that
Hmm.
because I tried to bend it to my will. I made exactly what I didn't want. So
Yeah.
anyway,
I agree with that. I was like, oh, I left out that one piece. Ugh. Everything else is 100%, but that one little thing that I wasn't clear about, that's why I'm very clear and specific now. Like, this is what I would like. Now I know it is, what it is, but yeah. So,
yeah.
again, thank you so much for coming on, but I have to
Oh,
take it to the point where we
yeah.
do our burning questions, which is a segment of the show where I flip it and put my guests in a hot seat. And we basically just ask
Ah,
some random questions that have nothing to do with what we're speaking about. So it's just to
okay.
put us in a
Do
different.
it.
So now the question I have tonight is, what is the ideal cutoff age to have children? And then I also want to put in versus, an ideal age to start to have children. What's a good age you think is to start? And what is a good age that you would say, all right, you need to stop it here because this is not going to
Okay.
work?
Well, okay. It's funny. You asked me a question I have a definite opinion about. So here goes. I've known couples who have had kids when they were as young as 16 and 17. So when their kids are, in their 20s or whatever, they're still young. But when you're that young, you don't have wisdom to impart. You're still developing, and you might be working at McDonald's or something. You don't have everything's a struggle. Everything is a struggle. And on the other side, I've known people who have had kids when they're 50. Okay, those kids
Yikes.
are going to have a parent likely past their 20s or 30s, and the parents aren't going to likely see their grandchildren or great grandchildren or anything. So I think, I think 30 is probably a really good age because hopefully you've got your career going, you have you've gained wisdom, maybe you've been able to travel and stuff where you don't
Mm,
need a walker, right?
yeah.
Because so many people, they have their kids young, and then by the time they're able to go out and do things and afford things, they're hobbling around with their cane or their walker or whatever. And I just always felt like, now my parents were 25 and 30 when I was born. My parents at that time, because I'm old, they were considered old parents.
Mm,
All my other friends, their parents had them when they were 18, 19, and mine were considered old. And that was a stigma that was not pleasant. So I don't know. I mean, if it were up to me, I would say 30. That's a good age.
I think so. I would agree with that. I think 30, I mean, you play games in your 20s, you try to figure it out. Hopefully, by the time you
Mm-hmm.
hit 30, you're like, all right, we need to, be a little more serious and be more clear about what we want. So I would agree with that.
Well,
Um,
you're calmer. I think you'd be calmer with young kids. That's my experience. I've seen people who have waited, and they are just so much more calm and prepared. It's better. But that's just my
I
opinion.
get it. Listen, I wasn't calm in my 30s nor in my 20s, so I'm more calmer now in my 40s, but I'm so glad that I did have my children when I was younger because now the experience is so much better. I do believe that you need to be young, you need to be vibrant, you need to be current to be able to keep up with your children because the lesson doesn't end when they turn 18. Now it comes to a different
Right.
type of level and you're more of their friends, but giving them
Hmm.
advice from a different angle, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I would
I mean,
say,
I don't think there's an ideal, but if you forced me and said, on your life, what do you think is the best age?
what is
That's
the
what I
age
would
where you
say.
say absolutely not? This is too much. Don't do it past this age.
Oh, I would definitely say probably 45 or 50, just for the kids' sake, you know.
I'd say 40.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to 40. If you don't get it together, and I know a lot of people may not like this, but between 30 and 40, forget it.
Hmm. True, true. But I'm saying, like, say you're the picture of health and everything's going for you. For men, I mean, for women, it's a little bit more risky after 40 because of health issues that can happen. But for men, I mean, my gosh, they can spawn children into their 70s and 80s. But should they? That's the big
Hmm.
question. Should they do that? Because then you're basically leaving your kids without a father fairly early on,
Yeah.
unless you live to 150, right?
Which I've heard some weird stuff that there was somebody out there that lived like 140, 30, 40. I don't know if that's real or not, but
No, that's too old.
I
Oh
saw
no.
something crazy on there and I'm like, this is made up. I don't know if I believe this or not, but that's what it said.
Hmm.
I don't know. Well, I will tell you that this high note wine is pretty good. It definitely hit the spot tonight.
Yeah. And what's it called? What's
it,
the name of it?
it's high note red blend. It has about four different
I know.
grapes in it. And I wanted to leave things on a high note because last week was a little interesting. You know, just like peaks and valleys that happen in life, it is what it is. So when I saw the bottle, I said, you know what? Things may not be going the way that you would want them to go, but you're going to leave this thing on a high note. So you're going to be the bigger
There you
person, you're going to be the
go.
better person, and you're just going to make this thing work. And it has somebody playing a violin, which, musical notes and all that stuff. So this bottle just meant something to me
Wow.
when I saw it.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Well, I have just thoroughly enjoyed this, and
Thank you so much
I
for coming
thank
on.
you.
And we
You're
definitely have to do it
welcome.
again. Hopefully, we didn't scare you with anything crazy or, everything was cool tonight.
No, no, you didn't scare me.
Good.
Not at all. You're lovely. So
Very good.
you're just a lovely man.
Thank you so much. So we will definitely be in contact, and hopefully we'll see you back on when this book is all done, and you can
Okay.
speak to us about that when you come back.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Take care now.
Good night, Larry. Bye.
Take care. All right, everybody. So there you have it. Everything went so well tonight and so well planned. And thank you so much for coming in and joining. I appreciate you. If you are out there on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, D Live, Twitch, Daily Motion, thank you for checking me out. Please go ahead and click that link above all of my social media platforms and go inside of Volume 1.5 Deliberation Remix Journal. And of course, you can go ahead and pick up a copy of my book, Volume 1.5 Deliberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. All of the things that I was speaking about tonight, getting my mind in a healthier mindset, you're going to find that stuff in that book. Past, present, future, and we're moving on. And I have to give a very special thank you to my special guest tonight, Juna Shellum, for coming in. Great person, amazing. The way that the collaboration went tonight. So y'all please go ahead and support her as well, and check it out. Now tonight we sampled this good red blend high note, and like I said, my goal is to leave everything on a high note. And that's exactly what we did here tonight on Reading Between the Wines. And of course, I couldn't do this without giving very special thanks to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give you all this show one more time in life. Thank you so much for checking me out, and I appreciate everybody out there. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, D Live, Twitch. Thank you so much. Please go ahead and support and subscribe, and yeah, check me out. And I'll see y'all next time I see you. Thank you so much. Take care, y'all, and have a good night. Cheers.